Welcome to Philosophy 160, Introduction to Ethics. I'm your instructor, Dr. Charles Wallace. I'm making videos of all the lectures as well as this orientation video that you can watch repeatedly, work your way through, revisit if you need to as a bit of study material. And I encourage you both to do the readings for the class, but also to study these lectures, because these lectures are intended as a supplement to the reading materials. And a supplement in the following sense. They expand upon ideas in the materials as well as recapitulating the reading that they cover. And so they'll introduce historical context, other ideas, extra information. They might have a different focus or emphasis than the material itself. The goal is both to help you to understand the reading for that particular lecture, but also to understand in a deeper and more comprehensive way the topic that the reading is about. Not just the reading, but what the reading is actually about. And so for this reason, the lectures will sometimes differ significantly from the readings themselves. They'll always attempt to help you understand the reading itself. So while I am making these videos, I've never taught an online course and I never used this software before. So I'm structuring this course in the way that people who've taught online courses have structured this course in the past. Hopefully there'll be no problems, but if there are any issues, please contact me and I'll do my best to adapt to it. Since I've never used this software before, I'm not going to be able to produce perfect, slick Hollywood kind of videos. I'm not even going to try. Not particularly facile with the editing functions of this software, and so as a result, I'm not going to be able to splice together multiple takes or add a bunch of tricky visual effects. Essentially, what you'll get are what's on my screen, lecture slides, in this case the syllabus, and my voiceover. And I'll do my best to make my voiceover easy to hear, easy to follow. Hopefully it won't grate on you too much. There'll be mistakes probably in the video. I'll probably say and huh a lot, the way people do when they pause to organize their thoughts when they're trying to speak on the fly. So in this way, it'll be a lot like a real lecture given in person in the lecture hall at the university. And hopefully it'll be more than adequate as a replacement for those sorts of lectures, and it will help you to better understand the material. So the best way to contact me is to send me an email. My email address is charleswallace@csuob.edu, and you will be able to send me emails anytime. I'll try and check it multiple times a day and respond to you as quickly as possible. Should the need arise to meet with me in person, I have an office in McIntosh Humanities Building, office number 908 on the 9th floor. And we can arrange to have an in-person meeting if there's something that you need to talk about at great length with me. The books for this class are both books by James Rachel and Stuart Rachels. And the last edition of both of these books, I believe, was 2015. They're published by McGraw-Hill. The first book is called The Right Thing to Do. I'll abbreviate it in the syllabus as RT. The second book is called Elements of Moral Philosophy. I'll abbreviate it in the syllabus as EM. Since they're kind of pricey new, I certainly don't expect you to buy new copies of the books if you can't afford them. And I don't expect you even to buy the current edition necessarily. So if you want to buy used copies, if you want to buy previous editions, that's fine with me. You should be able to find both new and used copies at the bookstore. It's a commonly used book at our campus. You can certainly find them on Amazon. And the only cautionary note I would add is that if you buy a used book or previous edition, make sure that the readings from that book that are listed on our syllabus are in fact in that particular edition of the book, so that you don't buy a copy of the book that doesn't have all the readings that you need from that book. There will be some readings that aren't in the books, and for those readings, those will be available linked from the syllabus online as electronic resources. And in fact, our first reading for the course is a reading that is linked from the syllabus. There's a link here right above the course description, and there's also a link in the first week here. So the way that I'm going to structure the course itself is every week I'll give you a list, and you should just go through that list in order. So if it starts off with readings, go ahead and do those readings. If it then tells you to do an assignment, then do that assignment. If it tells you to study the lectures, go ahead and visit those lectures. And go through each week in order, reading the assignments in the order that they're given, taking the quizzes in the order that they're given, looking at the lectures in the order that they're given. And that way, every time you do an assignment, I'll have a pretty good idea of the material that you've been exposed to and what I can expect or hope that you have gotten from that material prior to the test or the short paper, prior to the lecture itself. So make sure that you follow these in order. Now, all the quizzes that we do on Beachboard should be turned in by 8 p.m. on Friday. Okay? This week we're doing 3 quizzes, so make sure by Friday, July 13th, that you've done all of those quizzes, and once you do a quiz, it will automatically grade that quiz, enter your grade into the grade book, and then give you feedback on your quiz results. It'll tell you not only what you got right, but it will also tell you the reasons why I think that you gave the best answer or that another answer was a better answer. So it'll give you feedback, and so it's a tool for learning, not just an evaluative tool. In addition to those quizzes, starting on the second week, there'll be a short writing assignment where you'll be asked to answer a question and write basically about a page and submit that to the Beachboard Dropbox that's labeled for that particular week. So let's take a look at this first reading assignment. So you click on the link from the syllabus, and it takes you to this general resource page. This is a resource page that I developed for all my classes. It includes a lot more information than you have to look at for this first reading assignment. But you're welcome to take advantage of any of the resources that are linked off this page. So the first thing I'd point to here is to point to the formatting and citation guidelines. So when you write answers to the short answer questions, I want you to format them in one of the major formatting styles. You could use the Chicago Manual, you could use MLA, you can use whatever major formatting style is common in the discipline of your major, but I want you to use a major formatting style, and I want you to use it consistently and correctly. And I insist upon 2 things. First of all, I want you to put all the sources that you consult in answering your questions listed off in a bibliography or a sources list at the end of your answer. And second, I want you to make sure that you properly cite and format all of your quotations. So if you have a short quotation, put it in quotation marks, cite the source, the individual page number whenever possible. If you have a longer quotation, put it into block quotations, again citing the source and the individual page number whenever possible. In addition to that, I would also encourage you to be sparing in your use of quotes in these answers. For one thing, they're kind of short. For another, students can sometimes fall unwittingly into using quotations as an expository device as opposed to a means of providing evidence for an author's view or providing the reader with a particularly poignant or unique expression of the author's view, and things that are appropriate use of quotation marks. Instead, they'll string a series of quotations together to answer the question. If you find yourself using more than 1 or 2 quotations in a short answer paper, then you're probably relying too heavily on quotations. And you want to try and answer these short answer questions in your own words, being as original in your expression as possible. And this is an important skill, the ability to express ideas in your own words, to defend those ideas in your own words, and to criticize ideas in your own words, even if those ideas are originated by other people or argued for by other people, criticized by other people. The ability to express that information in your own words is an important skill, and it also greatly facilitates your understanding the material. So if you find yourself using a lot of quotations, one thing you might consider is perhaps I'm just a little bit afraid of using my own voice in answering these questions, and that's something I need to overcome. I need to learn to be comfortable with my own voice. If you find yourself thinking, well, maybe I don't really understand this material well, I encourage you to go back and review the material. Make sure that you understand it. If you have questions, you can email me, and I'll try and help clarify either the questions or the content that the question addresses in a timely fashion. And again, these short answers are going to be due by 9 p.m. on Friday, so you need to make sure that you get started on those in a timely fashion so that you have time, if you need it, to rewrite. In fact, I encourage you to rewrite, if you possibly can, multiple times, and to get feedback from myself if you have questions. Our first reading assignment, one of the pieces here listed under reading philosophy papers. And these are 3 pieces that are written by people. The first one is me. The second one is a philosopher named James Pryor. The third is written by philosophers Singer and Ammerman. And they're all pieces that just talk about how to read to get the greatest comprehension and the greatest retention of the material that you're reading. And they're geared specifically towards philosophy, but generally towards abstract, technical, complex material. How to read challenging and difficult material to maximize your comprehension and your retention. You don't have to read my paper. These are all good papers. There's no preference amongst them. You can read any one of them. Hopefully, you'll find that they are tips offered up by people who read a lot of complex, abstract material that give you some ideas, some techniques, some strategies that will help you to improve your reading comprehension generally, your retention generally, and specifically, it will help you come to grips with reading philosophy. Oftentimes, students find when they start reading philosophy that philosophy papers seem abstract, complex, technical, that they're not obvious in the way that they relate to ordinary events in everyday life. And so students oftentimes find philosophy texts, particularly historical texts, just incomprehensible when they first start reading philosophy. And so getting some tips from philosophers about how philosophers structure their papers, how they articulate a thesis, how they argue for a thesis, how they structure arguments in various sections of a paper or a chapter to support that thesis, how to go about teasing that out and understanding it better can be helpful, hopefully, in going through and reading your philosophy assignments during this course. So that's our first assignment. That's where to get it. That's how our electronic resources are going to work. I'll continue this orientation lecture in the next segment.